To gamers, our games can mean a lot. My favourite games are the Dragon Age series, and I'll often promote these games to my friends in hopes they'll fall in love with the fantasy realm of Thedas as much as I have. When building my gaming PC, I had the choice of spending £30 on flashing lights or a CD drive, and safe to say, I made the right decision. This does leave me though to having to buy most of my PC games as electronic copies, and this doesn't mean that the games mean any less to me than the ones I own in a physical form. It's just an easier method of buying and playing the game. Those games are mine, and mine only. They can't be passed on or lent to other people, not even in death. Which has gotten me thinking, why aren't our electronic games considered real property? Welcome to Bloosh Gaming, my name is Jody, and this is Just a Thought. If Steam had an epic crash or Origins decided to stop working, though that's nothing new, anyone with electronic games could run the risk of losing their property. Well, it's not really ours. When we buy it electronically, it's more of a license of use rather than buying the actual ownership. Though we spend the same amount of money on an electronic copy as you would a physical copy, but at the same time we're getting less ownership rights, which in a sense seems kinda harsh. If you died, it'd be easy for you to put your physical games into your will, allowing someone else to become the legal owner of all your lovely games, and you'll be able to pass on all that stuff that you've bought. But with electronic copies, it's not that easy at all, and in fact, it's kind of shrouded in a lot of problems. Now, this is slightly understandable because there's a lot more legal complications with electronic copies, but it's just so strange that these copies get so restricted in terms of ownership, when, in a sense, aren't they just the same as a physical copy? For many games, electronic copies are starting to be the dominant method of purchase, such as Call of Duty World War II, where over 50% of their sales were digital downloads, and Star Wars Battlefield 2 has had a drop of 60% of physical sales in comparison to their first game. And there are a lot of perks to electronic copies because you don't have to replace the disc each time you want to change game, you don't have to worry about losing your or damaging your said disc, and the fact that once it's downloaded on the computer, it's there, ready and easy to use in your library. You just click the link and go. And this all comes at the cost of our ownership though. And even as the world becomes a lot more technologically advanced, there is still a high focus on physical property. I guess it taps into our human nature of wanting to show off. With a lot more items being readily available in electronic versions, it should have a lot more protection for these things. We've got audiobooks, bitcoins, music, all that can be digitally downloaded. If I bought that, I want to say it's mine. I can't help but love my physical copies of games a little bit more, even if they aren't easy to use. Because, let's face it, you can't buy a physical copy online and download it instantly. You've got to wait for them to be delivered, or perish the thought, go outside and buy a copy yourself. Ugh. And people have games libraries of hundreds and hundreds of games, and if you add up how much they spent over the year on all these games, it would add up to a tidy sum. So it seems crazy that all this money would be gone if you died, or if you get bored of a game, you can't just pass it on. It's not like games are one use, it's not food, it's not drink, it's a game. They should be shared and they should be played multiple times. Maybe it's the idea that if you can't physically hold something, it's fake, that makes electronic copies seem a bit less than a physical copy. And it could be because that we're struggling to transition ourselves into a more digital world, which is holding back our appreciation for electronic property. Though at the end of the day, the idea that I could lose all my games due to a problem with the system, or the idea of not being able to share what should be my property, is slightly worrying. Arguably, society norms are determined by the older generation, ones who've not grown up with the technology that we have, and in some cases don't understand it. Technology can get demonized in the media and looked down upon, and so anything that relates to it is considered less. Many older people do not use technology like the younger generations do, and so they don't understand fully the electronic purchases. At the end of the day, if we as a society do not appreciate the digital download as much as in the air quotes real thing, laws will never change and this issue will always exist. If electronic copies are looked down upon, then at least make it cheaper than buying a physical copy, because it just seems crazy. It is something that's ingrained into us though, that you have to hold it to be real. I guess in a sense it's how we've always learnt to differentiate between fantasy and reality, and now with the purchases of electronic copies, it's becoming slightly blurred between the two. What's real, what's fake? Because is it real, the fact that you just click on a link and it takes you to a game, or is it just ones and zeros? I mean, either way, the baseline of a game is the same, but how you access it seems to really differentiate between what we consider property and a license. I mean, I'll even admit myself that my physical collection is valued higher in my eyes than my digital collection. And my physical collection mainly consists of PlayStation 2 games, which are not really worth much at all. Yet, for some reason, because it's there, I respect them a bit more than these links on a screen that I get on my computer.
I can try that.
Easily be a society that's just not accepting the idea of electronic downloads being real, that makes it harder for us as people, as individuals, to accept it. Or it could just be because technology is still advancing, and let's face it, at the end of the line, we've only got a license of use, so no wonder they're not considered much. But for that to change, we'd have to consider them, and we end up in one of those lovely little circles, like where you need a job, but to get a job you need experience, and to get experience you need a job. It's just madness. Basically, what we need is a mass of support for these electronic downloads, a mass of support for what is ours, and stop letting these things be looked down on. Okay, yes, at the end of the day, you don't own that game, but why shouldn't you? You've paid for it, you've bought it, it's yours. It's madness. But what do you guys think? Are physical copies better than electronic copies? Or are they just the same? We'd love to know. If you'd like to leave any comments below, that would be fantastic. And if you have enjoyed, please do like and subscribe. And until next time, see ya.